So Rammstein is one of the best bands ever. They come from Germany, they have an interesting past, and oh yeah, did I mention they actually sing in German? They borrow a lot of words from different languages, and English is there as well, but actually they're just singing in German, and it's great. And they're living proof that good songwriting actually translates to every single language of the world. Yes, we live in a global society, but not everything has to be the same everywhere you go. And even though, in their videos especially, they just point out everything is wrong with, today's world, capitalism, hunger, and so on. They contrast basically every relevant issue, but they put it through their perspective, which is not traditional at all. But in the end, they are traditional. They're just rational. Conservative liberals, so to speak. And another thing what I really loved about them is that they were dangerous. They're not that dangerous now, but they were dangerous. For example, if you're just kind of trying to introduce somebody to, industrial metal, whatever, you would never play them Rammstein, okay? If you had like a girlfriend who's like, oh, what kind of music do you listen to? You would never play Rammstein tour. You would just play something like, I don't know, Nothing Else Matters, or Enter Sandman, but you would never play like Keine Lust or Mein Teil or Wiener Blut. That's just, you don't play songs about pedophiles in Austria. That's just, you don't play that for people that are not introduced to the band and to shock rock and to industrial metal and to Rammstein as a relevant force in this world. And now we have all of these like crazy agendas, EU, open society, these immigrants that are just pouring into the EU from the Middle East and from Africa. What's their purpose? Who's paying for their trip? Why are they here? How are all of these immigrants kind of changing, the fabric of Germany or the fabric of society of the EU in general? And now with Brexit, has the EU failed? The EU began as a coalition for mining like coal and steel, and now it turned into this huge new age project of liberalism and different nations that kind of all share the same space, but they're definitely not the same. Being a German in that world is actually quite depressing, because Germany needs to bear like the heavy load of every problem that exists in the EU, and nobody's talking about the German people except for Rammstein. Nobody is like criticizing what American high politics does all around the world, but from a uniquely European standpoint. But Rammstein seems to do it on a regular basis in their songs, and people are tuning in. And yes, you can make a claim that people listen to Rammstein only for the fireworks and for the kind of industrial feel, but it's not like that. I appreciate Rammstein's lyrics. I think they're great from album to album. And even though if you have a seemingly kind of stupid song like Benzin or Links zur drei vier, these songs have actually well-crafted lyrics, even though they don't seem like they are, but they are. So it's been 10 years since Rammstein actually published their last album. They also stopped working with their old producer, who kind of gave every single Rammstein album a little special touch. They have a new producer. You can hear it in this album. The keyboards are much more prominent, similar how to Rammstein's guitars were kind of more prominent in the previous albums. I don't really like that, because I think that they kind of lost a little bit of their edge. But then again, it's not like this whole album is great. It's far from a great album, so I really doubt that they're gonna perform many songs from this album on their consecutive tours. So on this album you don't have a really tough metal song. They're all sort of there, and they're kind of mid-paced, but nothing is like really just like go for it. So the first song that had a really like crazy video, it's called Deutschland, and that song kind of talks about Germany, how it was and how it is, and all of the challenges it faced, and how Germany is still trying to keep its head up above the water. It's getting harder and harder, and globalization and Americanization is growing ever stronger. Germany is kind of losing its identity. So this is a clear continuation of the song called Mein Land that was published, a long time ago now. So most of the songs on this album are kind of mid-paced. They have some serious riffage, but you can also like hear some really dance grooves on this album. So in the song Deutschland, they kind of refer to a bunch of their older songs. It's clearly stated in the lyrics, and Germany is facing new adversities every day, so this is a song about that. I kind of feel that it's a morale boosting song, although it probably wasn't intended to be that, but when I listen to this song I can hear Germany, and I've been to Germany many times. I really enjoy that country, and I made a whole bunch of friends there, and I've toured all around Germany. I've seen many of, you know, their beautiful cities and castles, got introduced to a whole lot of their history and customs. They have a really cool identity, which I feel that is in need of preservation, because we don't want a McDonald's in a freaking Bavarian castle. Another great song later in the album is called Diamant. It's a short song, basically like a little ballad, and it talks about being obsessed with a person for all the wrong reasons, and the catch at the end is quite amazing, and I definitely recommend that you listen to this song. The second song on the album is called Radio, and that song speaks about how it was to live, you know, in East Germany. East Germany was not a nice place to live for many decades. Before the fall of the Berlin Wall, it was actually forbidden to listen to Western radio. It was forbidden to listen to Western rock and roll. You know, the Berlin Wall fell not that long ago. Communism is probably the worst thing that happened to the world since the plague. Not everybody had a radio back then. Not everybody was allowed to use it because the police would come knocking at your door. It actually sucked that you had to, you know, kind of listen to what the world was saying for like a couple of hours before you fall asleep, you know, during night at low volume, and that you were afraid that some asshole of a snitch is gonna rat you out to the police and call the police on you, and then you would get into all sorts of trouble because you were listening to the bad Westerners, you know, and their filthy capitalism, but then at the same time you drove a Trabant, and then, you know, these filthy Westerners drove Mercedes-Benz cabrios with freaking AC. Luckily you can't stop people, and you know, luckily all of these people that lived in East Germany, till Lindemann included, actually made it and lived so they can tell tales about it. So yeah, this album has a whole bunch of these other songs that are quite cool because they have good songwriting and because their melodies are quite cool, and you know, some parts are better than other parts, but none of these songs actually kind of resonate to me. I understand what they're about, I understand, you know, what they wanted to say in these songs, but I just don't have the need to listen to them again. For example, Puppe, it means puppet. That song is, you know, really weird. I can understand what children need to go through when their closest family are prostitutes. I get that, but I just don't want to listen to the song. But I do want to listen to a song which is about, you know, an incestuous pedophile from Austria that imprisoned his daughter in the basement, because that song is a really good song. It has good songwriting, it has good riffs, it has good lyrics, you know, everything was done professionally, and it's kind of catchy, and I want to listen to it again. Although listening to it makes my skin crawl and my stomach like sick. I like some parts of, you know, the song Tattoo, I like you know, some parts of the song Sex, but I just don't want to listen to it again. So Tattoo, Hallo Mann, White Weg, Puppe and Sex are not that good. Zeig dich and Ausländer. These two songs have really good arrangements. The layering is quite intricate in these different parts, and I would definitely advise you to listen to these songs. I would definitely advise you to listen to Puppe and to listen to Radio to get kind of a feel of the album. But yeah, the best songs are Deutschland and Diamant for me. In contrast to songs from Liebe ist für alle da, where there are at least 5 songs that I want to return to every now and then. I don't want to listen to these songs again. I want to listen to maybe Deutschland, and I want to listen to Diamant, but not a bunch of these other songs from this album. And it makes perfect sense that, you know, this album is not gonna be great because you know, they've done all these different side projects, you know. They've been making albums, you know, writing books, going on different tours, doing all sorts of other stuff, doing family stuff. This album is basically a collage of what they've done in the last 10 years. They actually recycled some parts, and, you know, all of that is not really to my liking. And that's why this album only received 29 out of 100. I have a friend who just recently, went all into Rammstein, and she asked me like, why did you rate it so low? And I was like, well, it deserves this rating. So I just gave her an example. Okay, do you know the song Crazy Train? She was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. That song kind of gets 50 out of 100 in my book. And then I asked her, is there a song in this album that sounds as good as Crazy Train? And she's like, no. And I'm like, see? So it has to be under 50, because there's not one song that goes above 50. It's just basic math. 29, basically like a 30 out of 100. That's like 3 stars out of 10 stars. It's not that bad, considering everything that, went into this album. Please subscribe to my channel. There will be more videos coming that you might enjoy. And on top of that, look at my Music is Your Friend Instruments Division videos, because there's a lot of things coming there as well. And you might find something you like if you're a player. Boom.